Good morning, guys. It might not be morning when you see this, or it might be. I don't know. Anyway, I got a bunch of stuff in yesterday, so I'm going to just kind of run you guys through it real quick. For those of you that have been following the Ferris saga, the parts and stuff I need to replace on the Ferris, maybe the beginning of this will make a little more sense to you, but I'll tell you about the deal that I had. Well, first of all, I ordered the front caster yokes that hold the front wheels on the Ferris 48 walk behind. They were shot. The shaft that goes up through, that you put the pin through, you have your spacers in, it was just oblong. It was like different size, like it'd be thicker, thin, thick, thin, just bent. All screwed up. The guy, I bought the mower used a couple years ago off Craigslist, and the guy that owned it before me was a frickin' hack. And, he tried to play it off as, this was only a backup. And it was like, dude, I've seen you drive around for a year with that fucking mower, running it every day. Back up your ass. But anyway, I knew it had some issues, and I slowly worked them out, and I got it really cheap, and it was a really good mower, and it's been fantastic for me for the last 2 years. But it did have a few issues, that being one of them, because he never greased anything. He claimed on his ad that he's real anal on doing maintenance and stuff like that. He's anal all right, but I think it's a different kind. When I pulled stuff apart in that mower, I literally had to take a screwdriver in my parts washer and dig the chunks of hardened up old grease off of things because it had been packed in there so long. The grease fittings, I had to pull them all out of the mower, and I put all new grease fittings in it because they were so hardened up and packed that they wouldn't even accept grease when you put a grease gun on it to pump grease into it. Now, I know you can clean them things out, but they're cheap as hell. You buy a pack of like 150 of them for $10 at Harbor Freight, and they work just fine. So I gutted them out and put new ones in. But anyway, so that was the reason the caster yokes the shafts were all bent in oblong different sizes. There's no grease in there, running it every day. They start to move around there, and it just wears the crap out of them. So I replaced all the bushings in there. But at the beginning of last year, I ordered these new caster yokes. And, they came in there the wrong ones. They swore up and down when I called Ferris to order these things that they were the right ones. And they weren't. They were the wrong ones. Or not Ferris, I ordered them off a private seller. And it wasn't even on eBay, it was just on a website. Well, they gave me all kinds of shit on taking them back when I got them, this and that, returned them. And I just hung on to them. I figured I'd find someone that could use them. I was so irritated, I just didn't care. And I hung on to them. And I still have them, I'll show them to you in a second. Well, about a month ago, I found a place on the internet that sells them. I think I've told, if you guys have watched the Ferris Saga video, you've heard all this. This is just a little recap, and it'll make more sense in a minute. But I did find them on a site called keepemrunnin.com, KEEPEMRUNNIN.com, and they're in Florida. And so they have an actual diagram of every mower on their website, and so I was able to figure out. I obviously ordered the wrong parts the first time because now it's showing a completely different part and the picture looks identical to what I have. So it took me forever to find them, and you guys have seen my Ferris. It's an older walk behind, but the thing is just phenomenal, and I have no intentions of getting rid of it anytime soon. The only flaw it has is not being able to quick adjust the deck up and down. You got to adjust it with the spacers, but whatever. I don't use it all that much anyway. But I've rebuilt the whole thing, and you guys have seen that in the videos. Back to the caster yokes. So I found them on this site, and they were the right ones, and so I order them. 2 weeks later, I still don't have them. I get the phone number, I call the place up, and I'm like, where are my caster yokes? They said, they must have been on back order. And I said, well, it took you about 10 seconds to pull the money out of my account when I paid for them. It was nice of you to call me and tell me, that they were on back order. And the lady goes, I'll call you back in the morning and let you know, or whatever the case. So I think it was the morning, or she said, I'll call you back later, whatever it was. But she called me back a couple days later and said, yeah, they're going to be to us by the end of next week. You should get them by the beginning of the following week. I said, all right, whatever, just keep me updated. So the beginning of that week was last week. I still didn't get them. By the end of last week, I called her and she said, "We just got them. I'm shipping them out right away." I said, "Good. Can you send me a tracking number so I can follow them myself?" And she said, "Yeah, no problem." So she emailed it to me the next day, the tracking number. Well, she didn't tell me the carrier. So I email her back. I go, "Is it USPS? Is it UPS? FedEx? DHL? Who are you shipping them through?" Like, I'm not going to go on every single website punching this tracking number to find out which one works. So she emails me back. It was UPS. I wasn't supposed to get them until today, and they came in yesterday. Now I'll show you the rest of this. Why I just recapped all that. Okay, so here they are. Oh, everything looks so like reddish tinted in here, even though these are red. These are, so they came in. Okay, there is, you can see how thick this shaft is. This is the shaft I was talking about. It was different sizes, different thickness all the way down because it just wore out. It wasn't solid. Alright, and it's got the hole there for the pin to go through that snaps over, and it holds the front wheel in. Okay, now when this is different size all the way up and you're mowing along, it allows this whole thing to flip back and forth like this, and when it does, it makes the whole front of the deck go up, down. You never get an even good cut. Okay, now when I ordered a year ago, this is what they sent me. Okay, so you guys, I'm trying to get this all in here. You guys see the difference between those? Okay, that's a lot smaller than that. That shaft, you see how thick that shaft is? That one's thin. There's no hole in here to even put a pin through. It's for the newer style Ferrises, I believe is what it's for. Okay, but I'm trying to get you a close comparison. You see the difference in that? That's a big difference in the thickness. So, and those ones I've showed you guys, it's Ferris Industries part number 48172. And these ones, the correct ones, is, let's see here, Wildcaster wheel mount FR5041702B. Okay, so these are the correct ones. These are the ones I needed. Well, so this was the packing slip. This is Keep 'em Running. That's where they're at. Capron Road, Titusville, Florida, and there's that website, keepemrunning.com. So I'll show you guys what I paid for these damn things. It came to $168.91 for 2 of these things. And then they wrote me a letter down here. I'll just read it to you real quick. It says, "Our apologies for the delay on your order. While our vendors stock many parts, sometimes parts end up being on back order. This was the case with your order. Please accept the Ferris hat as a token of apology for your wait." And you see I have in a coffee cup because I like my brims bent. And that's what I stick them in coffee cups and it holds them bent. But anyway, so they sent me this Ferris hat, which I think was really cool. Commercial mowers. And on the back it says Ferris. I think that's a really cool hat. I was just happy to get these things. It kind of pissed me off, their customer service, because they could have at least called me and updated me and said, "Oh, I saw you ordered these on our website, paid for them right away, and, just want to let you know they are on back order. It's going to take a little bit longer," which is fine. Obviously it's the middle of winter up here and I'm not using this mower, but if it had been, during my peak season, or if I was one of you guys that were down south, where I'm still mowing, not as much, but still once a month or bi-weeklies, whatever, out west, I'd have been pissed. But, it is what it is. They made good on it with this hat, and they got them to me. And they finally are the right parts, so I'm super stoked. I'm going to put these together today. I'm going to show you guys another thing I did real quick. And then I'm going to take it out and I'm going to film me putting those together and show you guys. It's super easy. I'm sure nobody needs to know how to do that, but I'm going to show you anyway. Okay, I had these business cards right here. That was when I had my old logo. And if you see the Countryside Lawn Care, the logo right there, it looks just like Blades of Grass from Savannah, Georgia, which it is. When I first started my business, I went on freetemplates.com and I got the template that had no writing in it or nothing. And it said the lawn care, but that was it. It had nothing else in it. So I typed my name in the box part there, and well, what I did was, okay, I sat down with my my designer that does all the decals for my trucks, and he's actually the one that found this. He found it on that website, and so that's what we did. So he told me to play around with it if I like it, so you come up with some ideas. So what I did was, when he sent it to me, I typed my name in there, did all that stuff, and then I made my shirts, and I made my cards and stuff like that. Well, once I started making YouTube videos, I found out that that it's not that was actually a logo by somebody, and it was Blades of Grass. So I talked to him, and he said, don't worry about it. Unless you plan on expanding to Georgia, I don't really care. Well, I still didn't like that. I didn't like having the same thing as everyone else, and him and I talked, and I just agreed to change mine because it's not right, and he's got his, and he worked hard for what he has. So anyway, I changed it. So I got rid of them cards. What I did after that, in the back of this one was just plain, nothing on the back. What I did last year is I went to these cards. I designed these ones, which has some of my services down the left, and it's got my information over on the right. And these ones actually had my name on it. Those ones were supposed to, but they didn't. And then on the back, sorry, I'm dropping it. On the back, it just has a little thing that says, "We show up when our competition fails to do so." So those are good cards, and I really like them. With going solo this year, I decided to. I like changing my business cards up all the time. I like giving a fresh look all the time. But I decided I'm changing up again. I'm going solo this year, making a lot of changes. I want to simplify everything. So I came up with this one. And it's Countryside Lawn Care, Randy Haskell, owner, and then www.countrysidelawncare.org website right on there. Nice and simple on the front. I did a survey a while back, and I asked my customers for feedback, what they think about my flyers that I use, or my every door direct mailers, my invoices, my business cards, things like that. And they said, you keep it clear, you keep it simple, and that's what we like. We get so much advertising where people just overwhelm it, and it makes us not even want to look at it, not even want to read it. They said, you keep it simple, that's what we like. So anyway, so there it is there, nice and simple there. And then on the back, I put specializing in lawn service for, because that's what I'm doing most of now. I got license, insured, phone number, email, all that. So that's the new ones. Like I said, I got specializing in lawn service on there. I didn't list all those other things on there. Like I told you guys in my plans for 2016 with going solo, I'm specializing and focusing 95% of everything I do on nothing but lawn care. I will do some side jobs here and there, smaller stuff. I'll still do hedge trimming things for my weekly customers. And maybe some other little ones on the side. Just all depends if I have the time to do it. And I still do some pressure washing, sidewalks, driveways, things like that, and then soft wash on houses. But yeah, so that's why I put the specializing in lawn care on there. Now they can go to my website and see other services I offer, but it's it's strictly on a time basis if I have the time to do it, and if I feel like doing it, to be honest with you. So yeah, so that's the case. Those are the new things that came in, and my new flip-up screen stereo for the dually should be in today, because I went to install my old one I've had for a long time. I went to install that. I dug it out of the garage, went to install it in the dually, and I was putting it in, and I had an issue with it. Everything was working fine, but I had an issue with the mount, so I changed the mount out on it, and while I had it out and I was holding it, I dropped it. Yep. And I snapped that fucking screen right off. Excuse my language, but it made me so mad. It's a $600 CD player with a flip-out 7-inch touchscreen, and he snapped the screen right off. Now, a buddy of mine said, "Man, you can fix some things." I'm like, screw it. Whatever. It is what it is. I don't have time for that garbage. So I'm going to rip that out today because it's still just sitting there. I just kind of mount it back in there so it's out of the way. I'm going to tear that out today, and that bitch is going in the garbage. And I bought a cheap one. It was like $140, $150 or something. It's made by Boss. And I know they make better ones. I've had them all. I've had systems I've actually broke glass out of cars with. But I'm 37 years old, not 17, and I don't need any of that crap anymore. So yeah, I just wanted a cheap one to get me through. It's a work truck. It's not my Sunday Cadillac, and So yeah, a cheap one. I got a Boss one. We'll see how it goes. If I get, who cares? If I get a couple years out of it, it's $140. So what? I think it'll last longer than that because I'm really good with my stuff. But that'll be in today. I'm gonna put that in too, and let's get these casters mounted. All right, I'm gonna show you guys what I mean. Now let's. We'll set that up on there like that. Okay. Now, this here, okay. Look at my camera, make sure you guys see this. You see how this is oblong? It's thinner, thick, thin. This is the old one. You can see it, I don't know, well you can see it. It's really screwed up. It's a lot thinner here than thick, than thin. Okay, that's what I mean by this was shot. Plus, these here, see these holes are like egg-shelled, should be perfectly round. Okay. This is one of the new ones. It's perfectly smooth, same size all the way up. And the holes there are perfectly round. Okay? So, what we're going to do is, these are those wheels I ordered. I showed you guys the other ones in another video. The bearings inside were getting pretty shot. The rims had chunks out of them. The tires had chunks out of them. And instead of putting the brand new tires on the old beat up rims for, I think it came like $80 with tax and shipping, I got these run flats. They're solid freaking tires with the rims, bearings, everything. The part number from Ferris cross-reference to John Deere. That's why they're yellow, which I will be painting these. But for now, they're just going to go back on. So, what I'm going to do is, before I put all these together, before I put anything together with bearings like this, this is what I do. I know everybody's got their own ways, but this is how I do it. I blow up a rubber glove. Alright, so this is how I do it. I will wheel bearing grease. That's what I use. Now I have regular stuff called Red and Tacky. It's good freaking grease that I use in my grease guns, but I pre-grease all of this. Now, when I put the bushings, back in there, these bushings you see, top one there, bottom one there, I already put new grease in there. So those are already loaded with grease. Okay, take this here, each side has 3 of these washers. You know what? I never clean them washers up. So while I'm doing this, might as well just do this other one real quick while I have this glove on. I'm going to pre-grease all of this because I'm a firm believer in grease lube. Okay, so get those nice and greased up. There's that one. We'll take this old one. Junk. Don't need that one anymore. Okay, so pull that grease up there. Never have a mistake of running into what I showed you happened those last ones. If you grease it, must grease it. Otherwise it's freaking garbage. You're going to run into the same problems I showed you on the other ones, and you're going to have nothing but problems after that. So you want to avoid all of that. Let's see if we grease these up, or clean these up, I mean. Get all this old packed up hardened grease off here. That's what happens to grease, guys. I don't know how well you can see that, but it turns thick and it chunks up when it's old freaking grease and it's not greased often like it's supposed to be. That's what happens. It hardens up, it turns chunky in there, it's not lubricating things like it should be. When you have something like this where it's metal to metal contact all the time, you need grease in there. If you don't grease it, well, I just showed you what happens if you don't grease it. You run into them frickin' problems. Stay with me, guys. Alright. This is for cleaning battery terminals. But you know what? It'll clean these up real quick. Like a little mini wire brush. Gonna get all that shit gunked up in here, but that's alright. Because then I'll just run it through the parts washer afterwards and clean it all right up. Now I know I could have done that with these, run them through the parts washer, but it's no big deal to just do it like this. Clean those spacers up really good. Get all that chunked up crap off there. Make sure some spacers are good to go. You don't want to mix that old grease. Where are them other ones? Here, there. Might as well do the other side while I'm at it. Look at that. See, it's all chunked up, nasty crap in there? Well, that's what happens. Want them all nice and clean. Ugh, that shit is nasty. I thought I'd cleaned these ones up already when I did everything else, but apparently I did not. Now each one of these spacers is 1/2 inch. So when you move the spacers from the lower to the upper, or upper to lower, either way you go, to raise the height of your cutting height up or down, that's you're changing it by 1/2 inch each time. Now, I did have a mower in the past, I think it was my Bunton walk behind, and that one had 1/4 inch spacers. So you can change the height by 1/4 inch each time. Now I like having that ability, and I looked online all over for 1/4 inch spacers and I cannot find any. So I'm sure I just didn't look hard enough, and I'll find them, and then or if not, I'll just make my own. They're not hard. You just gotta, I could take a couple washers, weld them together, and then grind the welds down smooth so they don't interfere with anything, and then I can and then just use those, and I'll have my 1/4 inch increments. Okay, but anyway, so now those are all clean. So now what I'll do is, because I have my deck height set, you guys have probably seen my old videos. I have them set to, all my decks are set to cut at 3 1/4 inches. That's the standard. That's what I cut 90% of my stuff on. Sometimes I got to cut higher, sometimes lower. Just all depends on the situation, the customer. But for start off, where my deck is, okay, I have spacers that are underneath too on the blades. So I'll push these right down. Okay. I'll put 3 of these on here, and with them all on the bottom, it's set. This deck will mow at 3 1/4 inches. Okay? So, hold on. I need more paper towels. Okay, so they're all set with all the spacers on the lower part. My decks will cut at 3 1/4 inches. And just by moving the spacers, you can adjust that. Okay? I used to always think, this is really weird, and it may sound like a real rookie move, but I always thought that you had to pull the blades off and move the spacers above or below the blades different ways to change the height of the mowing. You know, I never thought, duh, just pull the spacers off and move them up here and you change the front part of the deck, which the front is where it's doing your cutting anyway. But anyway, so now that's all pre-greased, and like I said, there's grease inside here already. Push that up through there like that. And then just take one of these pins, put the pin in there, snap it over the top. Got a little bit of play, but it doesn't go back and forth like the old ones did. Okay, and you just take this excess grease off the top, like that. Wipe that right off the top there. Because anytime you have excess grease that's hanging out all over the place, that's what grass and everything under the sun's going to stick to. But you know what? I'd rather clean off a little bit of stuck grass than not have grease in there at all. So I do that, and then I got the grease fitting in the side. I'll pump a little grease in the side to finish packing this cavity with grease. Okay. Now the bearing inside there's the grease fitting for that. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is, this is the setup for that. Take these, if I remember how these went, actually. Okay, I'm going to take, I don't have my glove on anymore, take a little bit of grease, this axle grease, I'm going to put it on here, on this pin, so everything rolls nice and smooth. Okay. You want to keep everything nice and smooth. Now, I'm going to take this bolt and I put it through there. Okay. Now this is going to go right inside there to take up that slack. Okay. So I want to pre-grease this as well. This is all stuff that should be done, and you guys should pull your mowers apart. I usually pull them apart once a year and do all this. And I was greasing these, even though I've had this mower for 2 years, so I did pull this apart already and grease all this and put it back together, but I put it all back together with all the old beat up frickin' parts because I really didn't have a choice. Like I told you guys, I couldn't find the right parts. And when I did think I found them, they still weren't right. So now, this just goes in there like that. The bolt goes through. And it's just lining it up. Bolt goes through like that. Put these washers back on the outside. I actually think that they're supposed to go in that inside part so this doesn't move back and forth too much. The tire touching? No, it's not. Yeah, I really think that I had one of these on the inside. I know I didn't have them both in there. Okay, so I'm just going to slide that. Of course, this ain't going to be the easiest thing, but just slide this washer in there. If I can get that piece to go over. And just slide. Just got to get it all to line up is all. There we go. Slide that one in there. So, okay, now that stays center like that. Put that washer on the outside there. Put this lock nut back on there. And then I will just crank that down. And then what I'll do is I'll pump grease into there. And then over here, there's a grease fitting for there. Pump grease into there. And it's good to go. Rock and rolling. And that's it, guys. I'll do the same thing to the other side, and it's that simple. That's all you do. But like I said, at least once a year, probably the beginning of every season, you guys should be pulling these apart. I'm falling over here. You guys should be pulling these apart and re-greasing all to clean all the old hard packed up grease out of there, because it will happen. Clean it all out of there, and then before I got a parts washer, what I used to do is I used to use brake clean and a little like oil drain pan. I'd spray it all with brake clean, let it sit for a minute, and then clean it all up, and then re-grease everything and put it all back together like that. And that's all you do. Rolls away nice and smooth. It's got a little bit of noise right now because it needs grease in there, but I will add that in there. And that's all you do, guys. As far as what to tighten these to, I just tighten them till they're snug. I don't torque anything. I'm sure there probably is torque specs, but I don't even play around with that stuff. That's how I do it, and I've never had a problem. But that's it on those.